Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are face to face with a person the whole of India looks up to. In one sentence, the whole India looks up to him for progress with peace. And we are acutely aware that our leaders are taking our country up the science expressway to progress yet unthought of. So let's get on the highway straight away. Ladies and gentlemen, the present Vice Chancellor of Lucknow University, Dr. Sajay Rao Bhaurao Nimse, might have justifiably Professor Nimse might have justifiably had his surname as Numbers because he is an MSc in mathematics, first class, followed by MPhil and PhD in mathematics. Apart from a distinguished academic career, Dr. Nimse has served on several professional bodies, climaxing with executive position in the Indian Science Congress Association since 2005. We request the President of ISCA, Professor S.B. Nimse, to briefly share his thoughts. Professor Nimse will share his thoughts.
Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji, Honorable Governor of Maharashtra, Sri Vidyasagar Rao, Sri Devendra Fadnavis, Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Dr. Harsh Vardhan, Honorable Union Minister for Science, Technology and Earth Sciences, Sri Y. Chaudhary, Honorable Minister for State, Science, Technology and Earth Sciences, Dr. Rajan Velukar, Vice Chancellor of Mumbai University, my esteemed colleagues, Nobel laureates, guests from India and abroad, distinguished delegates, representing from the media, students, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to welcome you all to the 102nd session of Indian Science Congress. This is a historical moment for all of us. Mumbai is known as the financial capital of India. In the past, Mumbai was known as the city of science. Many premier scientific institutions located in Mumbai led country by its progress in science and technology. For 102nd session of Indian Science Congress, we are able to seek the active participation of all the scientific institutions in Mumbai. The annual conference of Science Congress is the largest congregation of scientists in the country, perhaps in the world. The journey started in 1914 with very first Congress at Kolkata. It was attended by 105 delegates. I feel enthused by the presence of about 16,000 delegates for this Congress, including Nobel laureates, Fields Medalists and scientists from abroad. The special feature of today's gathering is that out of 16,000, more than 75% are students, and among students, 50% are girls. That is the speciality of this Congress. Science and technology for human development is the focal theme of the Science Congress. The origin of science lies in the evolution of the human brain and the intrinsic sense of curiosity in human being to explore, to know and to understand the nature and the world around. Science and technology has been central to poverty alleviation and economic development. However, a large portion of the benefits of science and technology have not reached to the majority of poor, both in developing and developed countries. Scientific research converts money into knowledge, and innovations convert knowledge into wealth through development of technologies. We must understand this cycle. Human Development Index is the summarized measure of average achievement in key dimensions of human development, that is long and healthy life, being knowledgeable, and having a decent standard of living. To have a better human development index, we have to revolutionize health, education, and economic sectors, creating more jobs and opportunities. We have to build up on existing infrastructure and use modern technology to achieve our goals. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is a very comprehensive movement. It has both health as well as environmental dimension. Apart from the change in common man's mindset about concern for cleanliness in public places, we have to develop affordable and easily accessible technology to succeed in Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. It is a challenge for the scientific community to develop appropriate technology. We need to provide easy access to quality education to all the sections of the society at all the levels, primaries, secondary and tertiary. Formal vocational training is provided to only 10% of the students in India, whereas it is 96% in South Korea. The new ministry for skill development is a right step in this direction. By 2020, India is determined to have gross enrollment ratio 30%. That is the ratio by which country is supposed to be labeled as a developed country. There are 15 crore students, there are 15 crore youngsters in the age group of 18 to 23. That means if we achieve the GER of 30%, 5 crore students must be in higher education. That means we have to double the enrollment in higher education. For that, you have to use the ICT and other technology so that we can enroll about 5 crore students in higher education system. Then only we can achieve GER of 30%. We have to think afresh about the work culture in our education system. Culture of meritocracy and of innovative practices should replace the current protective policies based on mere seniority and group considerations. Governance model of higher education institutes be such that significant part of this revenue be generated through consultancy and research projects. It will force institutes to establish their credibility about their capacity and capability among the stakeholders. Agriculture sector is awaiting second green revolution. Only this will ensure food security, which is most essential for social and political stability of the country. With adequate precautionary measures, GM crops with zero defective and zero effective should be developed. Innovate and make in India should become the reality, especially in industrial sector. India has the potential to become a manufacturing hub in the near future. Development of Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor as a global manufacturing and investment destination is a first step towards achieving the goal of Make in India. In support of government initiative like Make in India, the STEM, that is science, technology, engineering and mathematics, this kind of culture be deeply rooted in the Indian education system at all levels. Affordable and abundant, safe, environment-friendly energy is the critical input for balanced, sustainable and inclusive development of India. Fossils, renewable and nuclear energy are the three choices for India. India has a limited sources of fossil fuels. Renewable energy comprising mainly of solar, wind, tidal and biomass can be very promising and environmental friendly. Chemical industries and pharmaceutical industries can be other areas where India can be world leader. Presently, India is the hub for quality pharmacy products at an affordable cost. Astounding success of the Mangalyaan mission certainly made every Indian proud about the scientific capabilities. Apart from the immense national pride that the mission has brought to us, the spin-offs from space missions would eventually become tremendously important for development. On all these issues, there are differentiation for next 5 years, right from the Clean India, Make in India, or STEM. All these ideas are covered in the forthcoming sessions. The references to the progress of science in ancient India are in Rig Veda and Yajurveda. The concept of zero and decimal system is the Indian contribution to number system. Development of arithmetic and trigonometry is the gift of India to the world of mathematics. Historians of mathematics revealed that Kerala School of Mathematics developed rudimentary calculus long before Newton and Leibniz. Indians are very good in mathematical sciences. Abstract way of thinking has been a part of Indian culture right from Vedic days. Indians have gained highly appreciable achievements in the field of computing, especially in the development of software. This has its roots in traditional training of quality mathematics right from the school days. Unfortunately, there is dilution in the recent times for mathematics. India to become the world leader in ICT-related technology, mathematical thinking must be deeply rooted in our youngsters' mind right from the school days. We need to identify and support more modern-day Ramanujams. Mathematics Olympiad activity is needed to be further supported to spot young mathematical talents in all parts of the country. ISCA was formed with the objective to advance and promote the cause of science in India. Dissemination of scientific temper will help overcome social differences based on unscientific notions and bind the people of India together. Participation in the Science Congress, will provide unique experience of interdisciplinary approach to everybody. Students are expected to get charged to do something unique in the field of science and technology for the cause of humanity and for the cause of Mother India. We assure the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, that the scientific community of India will not fail in its duties to support the government's dream to build modern India with the help of world-class scientific manpower. Lastly, I would like to offer a motto to our great countrymen, Vigyan ka Jnaan Banaye Bharat Desh Mahan. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Thank you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, there are two streams of education which enable their students to tackle a plethora of problems, both personal and professional. These are medicine and engineering. These disciplines teach their students to analyze, understand, optionalize, resolve, and implement.
After Professor Nimse is going to be
Dr. Harshavardhan, Honorable Minister for Science and Technology, Government of India, will be the next speaker.
and
इसके
he will
पश्चात
be
वही बात करेंगे.
also inaugurating the science exhibition which is being held on MMRD ground.
Address us.
Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, Honorable Governor of Maharashtra Shri Vidyasagar Rao ji, Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra Shri Devendra Fadnavis ji, my dear colleague in the Ministry of Science and Technology Mr. Chaudhary, Vice Chancellor of Maharashtra University Dr. Rajan Pelukar, and the President of Indian Science Congress, Professor S.B. Nimse, the past President, the President-elect of Indian Science Congress, all the Council and Executive members, researchers, students, Nobel laureates, all the distinguished guests and friends from the media. It's a very privileged moment for me to be part of this very august gathering of the most distinguished scientists and scholars of this country. And of course, scientists who have come from abroad. This is a historic occasion. We are celebrating the 102nd Indian Science Congress. And you have rightly kept the theme of this Congress as Science and Technology for Development. It is in the fitness of things to say that it coincides with the presence of our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, who has a vision of giving the name of human progress the Indian way, and who is synonym with development, whose focus is only on development, and who is highly committed to science and technology. Dear friends, I was just going through the history of the Indian Science Congress. The first Indian Science Congress was organized in the year 1914, and it was organized in Calcutta in the month of January with huge enthusiasm to take science forward, to use the advancements made in science for helping humanity, for improving progress of nations. But the very same year, we saw all the advancements in science being used in the most cruel form to kill each other. I am referring to the world war that happened in the same year. And it has been very, very unfortunate situation that happened in the same year. And when we look back at the history of the 100 years of the Science Congress, we can see it in the backdrop of good times as well as bad times. We can see that it has been associated with good things as well as with bad things. We can see that science can take us to the moon, it can take us to the hell also. It can take us towards light, and it can take us towards the era of darkness. But all these years, in spite of whatever has happened all over the world through science, India has always stood like a rock. We have never used our knowledge of science for negative purposes, for destructive purposes. Rather, we have thoroughly, selflessly shared all our scientific knowledge, whether it is related to the solar systems, whether it is related to medicine, physics, biology, chemistry, earth science, everything we have shared it very selflessly with the whole world. We have always believed in the theory of Vasudev Kutumbakam, and we have always used our knowledge for improving the welfare of the mankind. Our scientists discovered the Pythagoras theorem, but we very sophisticatedly gave its credit to the Greeks. We all know that we knew Bij Ganit much before the Arabs, but very sophisticatedly we allowed this to be called as Al-Jabr or Algebra. I think this is the grace that the Indian scientific community has always maintained. This is a huge gathering here. I can see many researchers and many future scientists here. They are going to co-mingle, co-think, co-brainstorm, and I am sure that when you will be here for next 5 days, you will make sure that you breathe out of the many things something for the very ambitious mission of our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, that is the Swasth Bharat mission and the Make in India mission. When we say Make in India, the Prime Minister doesn't mean that we want to convert India into a territory where there are factories of Indians. But what he expects is that the scientific community should get us new technologies. They should use their intellectual acumen to produce better technologies to be used by the industry, so that the industry has a cutting edge in this whole world, and we can certainly ensure better progress for various people in the rest of the world. Friends, we all remember that exactly 102 days before today, when we had a very, very historic mission accomplished in India. Our Mangalyaan was launched successfully. We had successfully ensured the success of Mars orbiter mission. Our Prime Minister had said that the scientists of India have achieved the impossible. I think that was a golden day in the history of Indian space science. And I think that from 1947 onwards, what we could achieve under the leadership of our Prime Minister, this was certainly a very, very historic day. And a lot of other things have been achieved in this field of space. And Honorable Prime Minister recently, when he gave a call to the scientists that now we are going to produce our own helicopters, our own submarines, our own fighter planes, I think every scientist in this country had a missed heartbeat. But friends, we had so many young future scientists in all our villages who were so enthusiastic about it, who were so positive about it, who were so encouraged from his call that they literally clenched their fists, they pumped their blood into their fists and said, yes, we can do it. This is the change that Shri Narendra Modi has brought about in the scientific community of this country, and I am sure that unfortunately earlier we were using many of our scientists to the foreign countries, to the various labs all over the world, to the industrial world. But I am sure with the encouragement that we are able to give to our scientists and our future budding scientists in times to come, under the able leadership of Shri Narendra Modi ji, time is not far away when we shall certainly be able to restore the old glory of this country back, and we shall certainly be able to make our future brighter than our glorious past. Friends, I don't want to be here between you and your beloved Prime Minister. But before I finish, I want to raise an important issue and bring it to the knowledge of the international community and seek your guided attention on this. Recently, we have all seen that the prices of oil have fallen from $115 per barrel to almost $50 per barrel. It is a welcome thing for the people of India, for the people of this world. But what worries me as a doctor or as a person with scientific temper, or as a person who is committed to environment, or as a person who has taken a lot of inspiration from what Mr. Narendra Modi had done in Gujarat, I feel that this has a potential to hamper research all over the world for our alternate sources of energy, clean sources of energy, particularly renewable sources of energy. And we have seen that Mr. Narendra Modi has converted Gujarat's deserts of Gujarat into sources of infinite solar power, which is, I think, something which the whole world has to learn from. And I seek the indulgence of the scientific community of India to make sure that even if the prices of oil are falling all over the world, the research into alternate sources of energy and the clean sources of energy, it doesn't go down. I am sure you will all apply your able minds to it. With these few words, I once again thank all of you let us take a pledge to serve Mother Earth through science. And I am sure once we start serving Mother Earth through science, our Mother India is going to progress. And once Mother India will progress, the whole world will progress. And the whole country and the whole world will be proud of the scientific community of India. With these few words, I once again thank all of you and particularly laud the efforts of all the Nobel laureates who are present here, and more particularly the young Manjul Bhargav and Dr. Subhash, who have not even reached their 40s and have done commendable service for the service of science and for the service of India and for the service of the whole world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
अभी हमने डॉक्टर हर्षवर्धन, ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर फॉर साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, इनके विचार सुने। हर्षवर्धन जी ने एज अ मिनिस्टर फॉर साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी हमारे सामने, देश के सामने क्या चैलेंजेस है और उसे किस तरह से हम उन चैलेंजेस के पास जा सकते हैं, उसे यशस्विता उसमें प्राप्त कर सकते हैं, उसके बारे में कहा। और इसके पश्चात महाराष्ट्र के मुख्यमंत्री श्री देवेंद्र फडणवीस जी हमसे बात करने जा रहे हैं। अब मैं हरीश भीमा
Superior Sir and makes written applications for leaves. देवी और सज्जनों, इसे अच्छे दिन ही नहीं सच्चे दिन कहते हैं। Ladies and gentlemen, known for his forthrightness, Mr. Devendra Fadnavis is a fast and impartial decision maker and a taskmaster at implementation. We salute such a CM. Ladies and gentlemen, unassuming, almost self-effacing, unknown nonsense Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Devendra Fadnavis.
परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, भारत सरकार के मंत्री आदरणीय हर्षवर्धन जी, आदरणीय राज्यपाल जी, सम्माननीय राज्य मंत्री चौधरी जी, प्रोफेसर निमसे जी, उपस्थित वाइस चांसलर, इस साइंस कांग्रेस में यहां पधारे हुए नोबेल लॉरेट्स, वैश्विक मंचों पर पुरस्कृत वैज्ञानिक, उपस्थित सभी महानुभाव, बहनों और भाइयों, मैं आप सभी का महाराष्ट्र की इस मुंबई नगरी में बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं और इंडियन साइंस कांग्रेस का, प्रोफेसर निमसे जी का बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करना चाहता हूं कि 54 वर्षों के बाद फिर एक बार इस महाराष्ट्र को, इस मुंबई विद्यापीठ को यह मौका मिला है कि इस प्रकार के साइंस कांग्रेस का आयोजन वो कर सके। मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि ये आयोजन अपने आप में इस देश में साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, इसकी ओर देखने का एक नया नजरिया निश्चित रूप से हमारे सामने लाएगा। प्राचीन काल से हमारी सभ्यता और हमारी समाज व्यवस्था ये हमेशा विज्ञान निष्ठ रही है और हमारी वैज्ञानिकता ने ही हमारी संस्कृति को जीवित रखा है। और अगर हमारे इतिहास को हम देखें तो जिस जिस समय हमने वैज्ञानिकता छोड़ी है, प्रथाओं को, परंपराओं को केवल कर्मकांडों में परिवर्तित किया है, उस समय हमारे समाज का विकास या तो रुका है या समाप्त हुआ है। और इसलिए देश के, समाज के विकास के लिए, आगे बढ़ने के लिए वैज्ञानिक दृष्टिकोण, विज्ञान निष्ठता, यह अपने आप में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण इस प्रकार की बात है। और मैं ये मानता हूं कि दुनिया के उन्हीं देशों ने प्रगति की है, विकास किया है, चाहे वो आर्थिक विकास हो, चाहे वो भौतिक विकास हो, चाहे वो सामाजिक विकास हो, हर विकास के पीछे वैज्ञानिक विकास, विज्ञान निष्ठता, यही उसकी मूलगामी आधारशिला रही है। और इसलिए मैं मानता हूं कि इस प्रकार के आयोजनों के माध्यम से हम मानवता के सामने आज जो चुनौतियां खड़ी है, उन चुनौतियों का सामना करने के लिए हमारे देश को, हमारे समाज को एक तरीके से तैयार करने की कोशिश करते हैं। आज जिस समय ये कांग्रेस यहां पर हम लोग ले रहे हैं, साइंस फॉर ह्यूमैनिटी, मानवता के लिए विज्ञान, ये हमारा ब्रीद वाक्य है। और मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि जो देश के सामने चुनौतियां हैं, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो देश के विकास का एक सपना देखा है कि देश में बसने वाला आखिरी व्यक्ति, इसका विकास हो, वो गरीबी से दूर हो, देश के अंदर टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करके हम समाज में समता प्रस्थापित करें, ये सारी चीजें अगर संभव है तो यहां इस पेंडॉल में बैठे हुए इस देश के जो विचारक है, जो वैज्ञानिक है, इन्हीं के आधार पर ये सारी चीजें निश्चित रूप से हम लोग कर पाएंगे। आज जिस समय मैं महाराष्ट्र के मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में मेरे सामने चुनौती क्या है ये देखता हूं, तो मेरे ध्यान में आता है कि मौसम के बदलाव ने, क्लाइमेट चेंज ने जिस प्रकार से आज सस्टेनेबल एग्रीकल्चर एक चुनौती बनाई है, मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि इसके ऊपर उपाय बहुत आवश्यक है। जब मैं पीछे मुड़कर देखता हूं तो विगत 5 वर्षों में महाराष्ट्र में हमने रिलीफ के ऊपर 8,000 करोड़ रुपए खर्चा किया। कभी ओले बरसे, कभी बेमौसम बारिश हुई, कभी सूखा पड़ा, और लगातार रिलीफ के ऊपर हम लोग पैसा खर्चा करते रहे। आज आवश्यकता यह है कि इस मौसम के बदलाव को समझकर हमारी पारंपरिक खेती को किस प्रकार से हम लोग मोड़े, किस प्रकार से उसका उपयोग करें। डिजास्टर रोकने के लिए तो हम लोग वैश्विक रूप पर प्रयास करते हैं, लेकिन हमारे लोकल लेवल पर हम लोग कम से कम इस डिजास्टर के कारण जो नुकसान होता है, उस नुकसान को कैसे रोके और किस प्रकार से एग्रीकल्चर को सस्टेनेबल बनाए, इस दृष्टि से विचार होना आवश्यक है। उस दृष्टि से सॉल्यूशंस हमारे सामने आना मैं बहुत आवश्यक समझता हूं। और ऐसी कई चुनौतियां आज हमारे सामने हैं। आज भी जब हम लोग दूर दराज के इलाकों में जाते हैं तो प्रथाओं के कारण, परंपराओं के कारण हमको कुपोषित बालक दिखते हैं, और एक प्रकार से उस कुपोषण के कारण उन बालकों का जो विकास है, वो विकास जिस प्रकार से कुंठित होता है, उससे समाज का पूरा एक अंग हमको आज विकास से दूर नजर आता है। तो इस प्रकार से जो जेनेटिकली एक प्रकार से ये सारी चीजें उनके अंदर तैयार हुई है, इसको किस प्रकार से हम दूर कर पाए, इसका विचार होने की आवश्यकता है। साइंस बहुत आगे बढ़ रहा है और भारत जैसे देश ने तो अब आसमान छू लिया है, और जब भारत ने आसमान छुआ है, मार्स मिशन और इस प्रकार के अलग अलग मिशंस के माध्यम से हमने हमारी ताकत भी दुनिया को दिखाई है। लेकिन इस ताकत के साथ साथ इस मिशन का जो दूसरा अंग है, समाज में बसने वाला आखिरी व्यक्ति, उस तक हम शाश्वत विकास पहुंचाए, इसके लिए विज्ञान की बहुत ज्यादा आवश्यकता है और मैं ये मानता हूं कि उस प्रकार का जो विज्ञान है वो निश्चित रूप से हम लोगों तक पहुंचाने का प्रयास करेंगे। आज एक बड़ी परंपरा हमारे साथ है। कणाद हो, चारवाक हो, आर्यभट्ट हो, जिन्होंने साइंस का फाउंडेशन इस देश में प्रस्तापित किया, आज उसी धरोहर को इस पंडाल में बैठे हुए कई वैज्ञानिक आगे ले जाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। और इसलिए मैं ये मानता हूं कि इस कांग्रेस के माध्यम से एक बड़ा वैचारिक इस प्रकार का कार्य यहां पर होगा और जिसके माध्यम से देश की और मानवता के सामने जो चुनौतियां हैं उन चुनौतियों का मुकाबला करने के लिए हम बहुत अच्छे सॉल्यूशंस यहां पर तैयार करेंगे। देश के विकास में हम लोग एक बहुत अच्छी सहभागिता देंगे, इस विश्वास को मैं व्यक्त करता हूं। पुनः एक बार आप सभी का यहां बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। हमारे आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी यहां पधारे, उनका भी बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं और अपने शब्दों को विराम देता हूं। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
Now you know why the whole of Maharashtra is singing praises of our CM. Ladies and gentlemen, what does truly separate us normal mortals from extraordinary beings? It is perhaps the world's highest award, the Nobel Prize and equivalent awards. Let's show our appreciation with a thunderous applause for those winners amongst us. And this applause requests our Honorable Prime Minister to present gold medals to Nobel laureates and equivalent winners on behalf of the University of Mumbai. Of course, before he does that, may I request one after the other. The first is Dr. Randy Schekman, Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 2013. The title of his talk, Cell Membrane Secretion and the Connection of Human Diseases. That's Dr. Randy Schekman. The second is the world-renowned Professor Muhammad Yunus, Nobel Peace Laureate 2006. A Bangladeshi social entrepreneur. He's done seminal work in microfinance and microcredit and founded Grameen Bank. That's Professor Muhammad Yunus. Then is Professor Ada E. Yoneth, Nobel Prize in Chemistry 2009. Dr. Yoneth is a crystallographer, pioneering work in ribosome. That's Professor Ada E. Yoneth from Israel. Next is Professor Robin Warren, Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine 2005. Professor Robin Warren. A pathologist, is credited with rediscovery of bacterium Helicobacter pylori. Professor Robin Warren. Next is Professor Paul Nurse. Professor Paul Nurse, Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. 2001. He is a geneticist and is credited with discovery of protein molecules that control division of cells. Professor Paul Nurse, 2001 Nobel laureate. Next is Professor Manjul Bhargava. He is a Fields medalist. Fields medalist 2014. He's a mathematics wizard who looks like a cool student not in a hurry to leave university. That's Professor Manjul Bhargava. The title of his talk is How Likely Is It for a Polynomial to Take on a Square Value? And the next is Professor Subhash Khoth, Rolf Nevanlinga Prize 2014. He is a mathematician and theoretical computer scientist. That's Professor Subhash Khoth. Next is Professor S.R.S. Vardhan, Abel Prize 2007. Professor S.R.S. Vardhan. Satamangalam Ranga Iyengar Srinivasa Vardhan, FRS, is a mathematician known for fundamental contributions to probability theory, which probably has important applications in operations research. That's Professor Vardhan. And last, Professor Madhusudan, Rolf Nevanlinga Prize 2002. Professor Madhusudan. He's a professor of computer science at MIT. Thank you very much. May I request dignitaries to take? And one simple question that perhaps is an answer in itself. If there were to be a Nobel Prize, for serving your country with all your being, which includes 17.5 hours work a day, and taking decision with one question. My answer is yes. Where is your question? If there was such a Nobel Prize, it would go to only one person, our Honorable Prime Minister